Good morning, dear students. As part of elective paper titled Literary Criticism, today I explain Wordsworth's Preface to Lyrical Ballads. The publication of lyrical ballads has started romantic movement in English literature. It is the joint work of both Coleridge and William Wordsworth. In his preface, William Wordsworth elaborately discusses diction of poetry, poetic process, and taking everyday activities into consideration and giving proper shape. At the same time, he also informs us that the end of poetry must be to teach morality to its readers. So, the essay Preface to Lyrical Ballads stands as a unique piece of work as part of literary criticism. His views on poetry and aim of poetry is applauded by people of successive generations. His views have made the readers how to comprehend the poem, how to understand in-depth analysis of the poem. All these aspects were well discussed in his Preface to Lyrical Ballads. Then, Preface to Lyrical Ballads by William Wordsworth begins with a discussion of the collection of poems written jointly by William Wordsworth and Coleridge. So, a discussion regarding lyrical ballads begins with a joint work by William Wordsworth and Coleridge. He felt his poems were of a new theme and style. So Wordsworth says his poems are of new type containing different themes. So different themes, different styles are adopted by William Wordsworth. That's what we come to know in his Preface to Lyrical Ballads. He felt they needed an introduction. So having published lyrical ballads, William Wordsworth thought once again to give an introduction to this monumental work. So his introduction to lyrical ballads brings different concepts to the reader's mind. So introduction of William Wordsworth to lyrical ballads has got a lot of significance and importance as it gives a way to understand lyrical ballads. He writes that the purpose of the collection was to write poems that deal with things that happen in everyday life. So, as I said earlier, the subjects of his poems are not away from human life. So, everyday activities become part of Wordsworth writings. So, he takes everyday situation into consideration and adds his own style. At the end, he gives a theme. That is a specialty of Wordsworth. So, when we read Wordsworth poetry, we don't find any difficulty to understand the essence of his poems because as they deal with the common experiences of common people, particularly rustic people, and since our life is closely associated with the life of ordinary people, and we easily comprehend what is written there, and because we also find our own life beautifully reflected in his poetry, he considered each poem in the collection to be an experiment in language use of diction. So, he considers each poem as an experiment using language. So, he uses language means he selects a diction which is known to the common people. If the language of poetry is above the language of common man, there is no meaning to write poem. So, he adopts the language of common people and he adopts the words of common people, then he puts them in a proper way so as to convey the sense of the poem. So he takes everyday activities into consideration and adopts the language of common people. It means he selects the words which are known to the common people and gives a beautiful shape to the daily activities of common people in the form of poetry. There lies the greatness of William Wordsworth. William Wordsworth poetry is quite easy to comprehend as it mingles, as it brings forth what common experiences are everyday activities blended with the words of common people. So if the language of the poet or the selection of diction is very near to the common people, it is easy for the reader to understand what is written there. If the words are not the words of common people, it is very difficult for the readers to understand what is said in the poem or what is written in the poem, and they cannot understand the theme of the poem. So here we find Wordsworth is intelligent enough to take the themes of common life and project in his own way. So what is amazing is his style of writing poetry and his proper selection of words. So selection of words, style of Wordsworth is different from others. At the same time, the content of the poem is similar. So content of the poem is nothing but a concept of common life. So that's what he writes in his poem. That's what he clearly mentions in his introduction to Preface to Lyrical Ballads. Then he outlines his definition of nature and function of poetry. So as well as identifying the qualities that make someone a true poet. So he elaborately discusses the nature of poetry. What should be the nature of poetry and what should be the function of poetry? Function of poetry in general sense is to instruct while delighting. That's one concept. The second one is what should be the nature of poetry and what makes a poet a true poet. So when a poet follows certain principles of writing, when a poem appeals to huge generations, when a content of the poem is very near to the common man, that automatically makes a poet a true poet. A true poet is one who vividly projects what he observes in the life of common people. While observing the life of common people, he must also observe the language of common people. Then if he adopts the activities as well as the language of the common people, automatically what happens, he becomes a true poet or a great poet. At the same time, every poet must know the function of poetry. The function of poetry is to provide aesthetic pleasure, is to give delight, at the same time is to teach morality. So pleasure and morality are to be blended in a poem that makes the poem worth reading. At the same time, the poet also achieves a tremendous success as a writer. Otherwise, if he neglects the common day activities, if he neglects, aesthetic pleasure, if he forgets giving instructions to his readers, he doesn't become a popular writer. His poetry becomes mere waste. So poetry should be to give instructions, is to provide morality to the people while giving a kind of, pleasure to his art, or a kind of aesthetic enjoyment must be provided to every reader. So without having these basic qualities, no poet can become a true poet. Then for him, poetry must reflect spontaneity and an overflow of powerful feelings. You see, according to William Wordsworth, he defines poetry in a different way. Spontaneous overflow of powerful feelings collected in tranquility. So when we analyze this sentence, the spontaneity is more important. So the feelings must be spontaneous and the poet must give, verbal expression to his emotions. He must give verbal expression to his spontaneous powerful feelings. That's one aspect of his definition of poetry. The second one is one should have a passion. One should have a strong zeal so as to feel when he finds something new, when he finds an object, when he finds a beautiful thing, when he has that kind of zeal and passion, automatically he finds emotion, he gets emotions. When he gets emotion, he stores them in his mind. When he's a leisure time, in his tranquility, what he gives he gives a proper shape to his observations Then passion is key as our mood and temperament. He asserts that a poet should be a result of the long, deep reflection. He also cautions against being too concerned with the poetic rules of classicism. You see, while expressing, while giving, shape to his emotions, shape to his sensitivity, the poet need not be too cautious about neoclassical rules or classical rules. So, neoclassical writers strictly adhered to the norms fixed by ancient writers, and while expressing them, they strictly followed the classical rules. So, in the opinion of William Wordsworth, he doesn't give that much priority to adhering to the norms of classical writers, and he follows his own way of expressing them. So he feels and he opines that his feelings are to be expressed freely and no need to follow the strict norms and canons of neoclassical writers or classical writers. So you see, natural flow of things are very much required, and he follows his own norms while writing poetry. And then Wordsworth lays down 4 stages for thought processing. So, according to Wordsworth, there are 4 stages in thought processing. So, while writing a poem, thought process is very, very important. So, according to Wordsworth, there are 4 divisions, or there are 4 stages while writing a poem. The first is observation. Observation is more important. What kind of observation is required on the part of the poet? A keen observation is required. A person. So while observing a person or object or situation, he must have keen concentration and keen observation. When his observation is very keen, automatically a person or an object or situation automatically stimulates emotion in a poet. So when you don't have any passion or when you don't have any kind of keen observation, whatever you find, whatever you see, there will be no reflection on your part. There will be no stimulation on your part. So you can find stimulating ideas, or you can find ideas stimulating in your mind, or emotions stimulating in you happens only when you possess that kind of keen observation. Keen observation of what? Keen observation of person, keen observation of object, or keen observation of any situation. So when you observe with concentration, what happens? Your observation makes you to have a kind of emotional attachment to your observation. So when your observation is not up to the mark, when you don't look at the things without concentration, what happens? You don't get any kind of emotional attachment to the situation you are in. So it is the fundamental duty of a poet to have a keen observation on an object or a person or a situation. If he possesses this kind of keen observation, what happens? There will be emotions coming in you. That means these objectives will provide a kind of emotions in you or stimulate emotions in you. So if keen observation is maintained. The second is memories may surface to explore how emotions they provoke relate to the past experiences. What happens? Memories. So when you find your emotions at high pitch, what happens? After some time, what happens? You remain cool and calm. Then you find a recollection of what you have seen or what you have observed. So through memories, you can once again recollect the emotions you experienced earlier. So when you recollect your experienced, emotions, it is easy for you to give a proper idea or proper shape to your emotions. How can a poet can give a proper shape to his emotions? In the form of words, in the form of language. So he can recollect the emotions and he can give them proper shape. So observation is required and recollection is also required through his memory. So these are the 2 angles of thought process. Then the third stage is filtering, when the poet clears the mind of all non-essential elements. So the third stage is, you have so many emotions in you, but when your emotions are directed towards one particular thing, non-related emotions can be deleted and only related emotions can be brought together. Then when all the emotions or feelings connect to one object can be brought together, and that they can be given a shape, they can be given proper expression. A poet, after recollecting the emotions, must give a proper shape or proper expression. So that expression comes in the form of a poem. That poem should be based on what? A language or a word used by the common people. So thought process involves, till now it involves three stages. One is observation, the second one is recollection, third one is filtering of non-related emotions to the particular situation or particular object or a particular person. In the fourth stage, the poet should begin to compose. So the third is last stage, fourth stage is to compose a poem. So observe, recollect, filter, compose. These are the four stages involved in writing a poem. So in writing a poem, what is required? Four kinds of things are required. So observe, observation. Second one, recollection. Third one, filtering. Fourth one, composing. So these four stages help the poet to write a poem above criticism or without any errors. Then the goal is to express emotions in a way that reader will understand and can therefore contemplate. So every poet has to follow these kind of four stages so as to make the readers to get connected with the emotions expressed in the poem. So it is easy for the reader to contemplate on the emotions figured in the poem when a poet follows four stages. So first stage is observation, second stage is recollection, third stage is filtration, and fourth one is compose. If these four stages are strictly followed, then it becomes easy for the reader to get connected with the emotions expressed in the poem and contemplate on them later. So according to Wordsworth, every poet has to follow these four guidelines so as to give a poem a proper shape and so as to attract or fascinate the readers, because readers' response makes poet great. So a true poet has to follow these four stages while composing a poem. So once the poem is composed, then automatically the reader gets properly connected to the emotions and he will contemplate on what is written in the poem. According to William Wordsworth, imagination is a function of memory combined with the ability to associate those sensations with other things that may or may not exist. So imagination is very much required. In imagination, poets get touch with different things. That things may exist or may not exist. Unlike the classists who value art for art's sake. So according to classists, they feel that art is for art's sake. But according to Wordsworth and Romantics believe in art for the sake of life. So art exists only for the sake of life. But whereas classists believe that art is for art's sake. But Wordsworth and remaining romantic poets firmly believe that art is for the sake of life. So art must provide a kind of pleasure to the life, a kind of boosting to the life, a kind of emulation to the life of the people. So when the function of the poem is not about humanity and there is no meaning to a written work, that's what romantics firmly believe. He sees the function of poetry as the ennobling the reader through teaching of moral and philosophical values and ideas. So according to Wordsworth, the main function of the poetry is to teach morality to the people and give some ideal values to the people. So when a poem doesn't have any kind of impact on moral life of the people, the poem is not at all a poem. So Wordsworth firmly confirms or confesses that it is the function of poetry to make the reader understand the morality, to make the reader's life morally based, and a poem must give so philosophy. Doesn't have these qualities and it is not considered a good poem. So Wordsworth feels that a poem should elevate the personality and teach him some moral and ethical values. Then finally, he discusses in greater depth the diction of poetry. At the last part of Preface to Lyrical Ballads, he discusses about diction. Diction, proper selection of words. So thought is wonderfully expressed or cleanly expressed when your selection of words is good. Your selection of words matches with your thought. If your selection of words clearly express your emotions, then it becomes a good fiction, good diction. If the diction is not appropriate, is not matched with your emotion, is not matched with thought, it becomes mere waste. So, what kind of diction is to be selected to write poetry is the discussion here. It is basically the use of language. So, diction means it is the basically use of language. So, what kind of language is to be adopted while writing the poem is the question. So, if the poetry is read by a considerable number of people, it means the poem contains the language of common people. If it is read by only aristocrat people, it means the language used in the poem is above the understanding of common man. If the poem is above the understanding of common man, then the poetry is missing its basic function. Its basic function is to appeal to everyone, appeal to more number of people, and create a kind of sensation in the people, create a kind of thinking in the minds of the people. If it doesn't do that function, it is not at all a poetry at all. It is a choice of words. So choice of words, proper selection of words, phrases, and sentence structures. So diction is about the language selection. So that language should have a proper words, phrases, sentence structures. These things are to be kept in mind while giving a proper shape to your emotions and even a figurative language. Diction is important in all of literature. Diction plays a very, very significant role as it is the base of any work. So proper selection, a choice of words, choice of phrases, selection of language should be appropriate to the situation, should be appropriate to the aim of the poem. So the poet's greatness depends on his choice of words in all literature, and it is the poet's medium. So people understand the nature, the quality of a poet or greatness of poet based on his choice of words. So one must be very careful according to Wordsworth while selecting the language. So Wordsworth in his introduction to lyrical ballads discusses various aspects. He discusses the aim of poetry, he discusses thought process, and he finds that there should be 4 stages. Observation is more important, recollection is more important, third point is filtration is more important, composition is more important. Then he also stresses the aim of poetry, and he feels that the poetry should be aimed at promoting moral and ethical values. And in the last part of this introduction, in his preface, he says diction is very, very important. Diction is not about anything else, it is about the language. So language means a choice of words, phrases, as well as sentence structures. All these things are to be kept in mind while composing a poem. So choice of words is important for all literatures. So it is the credibility of the a writer or a poet achieves a lot of credibility and acclaim based on his selection of words according to the situation, according to the aim of the poem. So keeping in all these aspects in mind, one has to compose a poem. So introduction to preface to lyrical ballads or a preface to lyrical ballads, provides us different methods to analyze and adopt poetry in our day-to-day lives. So this particular essay of William Wordsworth keeps him forerunner in literary criticism as well as, and his views are well accepted by the literary giants. So we need to, follow preface to lyrical ballads before we start understanding or analyzing and comprehending any kind of poem. So this is about preface to lyrical ballads by William Wordsworth. Thank you.